Hello and welcome. This is Mateusz Myślicki and this is Weekly Daily. And we are going to be playing Modern today with the black, green, blue Infect, or rather green, blue, green, black, blue Infect, as green is the main color in the deck. So Modern is not like very popular lately. There are like no huge events in it. There's no there weren't really any GPs, and the PTQ season is over, and the next one is in like 8 months. But the format is eternal. The dailies on Mtgo are launching, so it's definitely something you can play. And yesterday's premier event in Modern had like Paul Ritzel, had Cherry Thompson, Andrew Shroud, Pedro Carvalho. So those like big names, not only from the online Magic. So definitely people are like playing the format, and I have been having quite some success with the deck you're seeing here. I think it's very well positioned in the meta, and if you put some work to it, you can also make some unfavorable matchups pretty reasonable. So um, yeah, so that's that. Uh, Before I go to the specific cards, what I like about the deck is it's very resilient. Uh, like it can play against a deck with numerous removal spells, thanks to cards like Vines of Vastwood, or even Mutagenic Growth, and the Inkmoth Nexus to some extent. It can mulligan to 4 or 5. It can like mulligan to 5 very well and still win on like turn 3, which we'll most likely see in the event because it mulligans a lot. And it's just very good. It has some buy matchups which I'm gonna go through. Okay, so let's go through the cards. Deck has 20 lands, of which uh, 8 are fetch lands. 8? Just let me get to it. Okay. So the pool is not a fetch land. So there's 8 fetch lands. There's 2 overgrown tomb. There's 2 forests. There's 1 breeding pool. So we have only 4 blue cards in the main deck. There's 2 Pendelhaven. There's 4 Inkmoth Nexus and there's 2 forests. So I'm gonna go through like specific cards in the deck. Those should really be here because that's like really creatures and pump spells. This is Inkmoth Nexus. This activates for 1 and becomes a 1/1 Blinkmoth artifact creature with flying and infect. It's very important for the deck. If this card wasn't in the deck, this deck would be like probably a lot worse. I probably wouldn't be playing it. You'll often win on the back of this card. It's immune to sorcery speed removal. It's immune to cards like Liliana. You can activate it when you want, when you like want to wait for a pump spell or a protection spell, and Vines of Vastwood if you want. It's really good. And Pendelhaven, this is legendary. It doesn't come into play tapped. That's why we're playing 2. If it wasn't legendary, we would most likely be playing 4. And target 1/1 creature gets +1/+2 until end of turn. Uh, from 13 from 17 creatures I'm playing in the main deck, 16 creatures are 1/1, so this obviously is very good in pumping them up. So as you can, well, I might have to say that the deck is really about just pumping an infect creature to a possible 10-10 or like to a 5-5 and 2 attacks or in 1 attack just killing your opponent. So the philosophy of the deck is pretty straightforward. It takes some time to get there sometimes, as you probably will see. But let's stop at the mana base for like a little minute more. There's breeding pool, there's forests, 2 forests, and there's 2 overgrown tomb, which we will be most likely looking for most often. And there's 1 swamp. Swamp is going to be quite important against decks like mono red, where we don't want to waste our life, or if the opponent has path to exile, and against nearly all opponents having path to exile, we're going to be siding in this guy, and it's not very easy to get 2 black in this deck, especially as our mana dork is not giving black. So okay, if we were at the mana dork already, let's get to it. So the deck is about getting in for 10 damage. There's obviously some removal spell, some palm spells. There's Might of Volcrosa, there's Groundswell, there's Mutagenic Grove, there's Vines of Vastwood, and there's Rancor. This is a straight +4/+4 if it's cast in my main phase. So it's it kind of looks silly as you like activate an Nexus or just have your guy and just pump your guy as by intuition you would just do this in the attack and like the very last moment when you can. But this you actually have to cast in the main phase, so usually do that. So it kind of looks like a comboing goal, which is by casting like 2 or 3 palm spells. There's Groundswell, which gives target creature +2/+2 unless the land came into play this turn, then it gives +4/+4. So this is like a straight functionally worse Might of Volcrosa. There's 4 Mutagenic Grove. They are very important because Pyroclasm is a card, Electrolyze is a card by far. I don't know, there's like Easy Charm, there's Lavamancer, so this will quite often save your creature on your opponent turn when you are tapped out. That's why I'm playing 4. Like previous lists were playing like 2, 3. There's like an old Giant Grove, there's Apostle's Blessing, but I didn't want Apostle's Blessing because Apostle's Blessing was only good when Lingering Souls and Affinity was like popular in the format. They are not anymore. There's quite few Lingering Souls deck and there's like nearly no Affinity. So I prefer to just have Mutagenic Growth, especially as Blue-Eye Red is definitely a deck. There's 4 Vines of Vastwood. It also gives a +4/+4, but it costs 2 mana, which is quite a lot in this deck as we are gonna be often operating on like 3 mana. And sometimes we're gonna have to also activate Nexus for that, so there's gonna be like 1 mana left. But that's just also it also prevents your opponent from like removing your guys, and it's also a hate card against Twin. So when the twin guy has what that card says, it says target creature, but it doesn't say target creature you control. Can't be target of spells or abilities your opponents control this turn. So basically, if your opponent is casting a Splinter Twin on his hierarch or the Pestermite, you can just respond to Vines of Vastwood, and this way destroy his combo. There's only 3 Rancor. This is definitely the worst card in the deck because you will not like you're not gonna bash turn by turn usually. So this is only +2, but it gives trample, which is pretty important in some matchups. There's gonna be matchups against like decks like Martyr, against decks like Tokens, when they're just gonna swarm the board, and Rancor is gonna be pretty important then. So I'm playing 3 just because like those 8, I can't play any more of those palm spells. If I could play like extra Might of Root Cross, I would probably playing like 2 Rancor, maybe 1 in the sideboard. I'm often gonna be siding it out against decks that don't play a lot of creatures because like the ability of Rancor to come back is not very important. It's sorcery speed and it only gives +2. So like the only very important thing about Rancor is actually trample. Okay, as to the creatures, there's 4 Glistener Elf, 4 Blighted Agent, 4 Plague Stinger, and 4 Inkmoth Nexus, which I already mentioned. So those are like all 1/1s. Everyone has its upside. Glistener Elf obviously costs 1, which is very important. Just want to like you sometimes gonna get those free wins when you land this guy turn 1. Then just play 2 pumps plus next turn and then your opponent concedes. Or even like play 2 pumps plus and a mutagaining growth and your opponent concedes. Blighted Agent is the best creature in the deck, and he's like the sole reason why we are playing blue. There are some versions of like mono green or black green which don't play agent. They play like Mamba or the Blighted Mamba, which is regenerate, or like the Mirror that it's +2/+2 when it attacks. But the actual ability of Blighted Agent to be unblockable, well, that he is unblockable, is very relevant. This is gonna be winning games like very often. That's by far the best ability on an Infect creature. So this guy is gonna be winning us a lot of games, and it's worth to play blue in the deck just for him. This also has the evasion, but Lingering Souls are a card. I don't know, Vendilion Click is a card. So there are definitely cards that are gonna be like blocking it. Affinity has like a ton of flyers. So this will be sometimes this evasion is not gonna be sometimes that important as the blighted agents. And I'm playing 1 Phyrex Crusader in the main deck. I'm gonna be playing 4 post board against a lot of decks. He's insanely good against Blue White Red. Like if you can land this guy against Blue White Red, which is by the way an insanely bad matchup because this deck like consists of removal and some of that removal like electrolyze is like drawing him cards and counter spells basically. So that's all that is in blue white red, and if you can trick your opponent into casting a counter spell somehow else, or if he just doesn't have it, then when Crusader lands on the board, he needs to have a verdict. Like he's gonna die otherwise because all his removal is either blue, sorry, either red or white, not blue obviously. And this guy has both protections, red and white. This guy is also very good against decks like Martyr or Tokens. Tokens is gonna be a very hard matchup. As we're gonna see, because all decks that play like a lot of removal and discard spells are pretty bad news for us. Okay, so Cybot has 3 Remand and 3 Spell Pierce, and you might find it odd, but we are not gonna be siding those in against control decks. We're gonna have like other plan against control decks. We're gonna be siding it in against combo decks. We're gonna be siding it against eggs, against living end, against some possible graveyard decks, like I don't know, Goryo's Vengeance deck. We probably also gonna be siding Remand against the what's it called? The Tron decks. Those are, by the way, all pretty good matchups because we are usually just like a turn 2 or like even 3/4 than Tron, faster than them. I'm not sure about Spell Pierce. Maybe this should be something else, but for now I'm still like finding my way around. Maybe I'm gonna be changing this for something that's actually good against other matchups. I probably don't need that many additional cards against those decks. So there's Choke. You probably wouldn't expect this card in the deck, especially as I'm playing blue and I'm playing obviously 1 island here, but I'm gonna be just siding out 2 blighted agents against those decks anyway. You might find it odd just when I said that this is like the best creature in the deck. Yes, but against decks that don't like play creatures against you at all, it's like as good as this basically. So we're gonna be siding in choke, and we're gonna be trying to like cut out blue decks from their mana just to deny them any action. A lot of those decks cannot win if they can't get to like 5 mana and like cast Battle Skull or like a big Revelation. So choke is gonna be pretty important against them, and we're gonna be siding in for we're gonna be siding up to 4 cast Phyrexian Crusaders against them. And there's 4 Abrupt Decay, which is an old removal spell, helps against decks like Affinity or like Twin, but it's mainly here for the Spell's Guide. Like you need to deal somehow with the Spell's Guide, and like people sometimes are playing Nature's Claim or something like that, but Decay is just better. Basically anything that costs more than 3 mana is not and is a permanent is not a problem for this deck usually. So it basically deals with like all possible irritating permanents for this deck. So yeah, so that's like a whole deck. There was quite a lot of talking about a deck that just wants to like deal 10 damage, but we'll hopefully be able to see that sometimes matches are pretty interesting. We're also probably gonna be seeing matches where I'm just gonna like land an elf turn 1 or just like play an Nexus turn 2 and like just kill him turn 3 or 4 and he's not gonna be able to do anything. But hopefully I'll be able to also show you that the deck is like very, very efficient right now. Alright, so see you around 1 and well,